And so I want to remind folks that if you have questions to write down, do that, and we will be collecting them. Let me, while we're taking them, because we haven't had any yet, let me ask a first question to the other panelists, which is, I think that in recent times, as study after study of voucher programs has shown little or no positive academic effect, there has been an argument developed by some voucher advocates that really the only thing that's important is quote unquote customer satisfaction. So if parents are who are in voucher programs are happy with the results, that should be sufficient. So what are some of the issues around this satisfaction issue? I know there are pieces of social science that might be applicable here, where there is an effect that's been found just by people participating in a different program. There's a number of questions here, but how should we perceive, and how should we understand this argument that the people who participated in it are satisfied?
That is a very good question. So for the DC OSP evaluation, we defined the parent and student satisfaction just purely by basically one survey item. If the parents rated the school that the children attended a grade of A or B. So when you ask what the possible issues about that, I can only just offer my limited view from my reading. Some people, especially in the psychology or social science, may argue that validity of the construct might be an issue because there was a concept of confirmation bias. Someone chose the school or something, and he has a tendency to believing it, and so that could create some kind of confirmation bias. We don't know for sure, but this is a very interesting question. Yeah.
Martin, do you have any thoughts?
I do. I think that this has been a main argument, that in fact client satisfaction should override everything else. But on the other hand, from the standpoint of public policy, sure, choice is always a good thing, and we should promote choice in a democracy. We believe that. But on the other hand, we also have an obligation to the public. I think the government has an obligation to the public to deliver the best public products that possible. And I think it's shirking that obligation to promote policies which actually might, in fact, not improve the well-being of their kids. And furthermore, if it distracts from better public policies, then it might leave their kids worse off in the long run. So, people choose a lot of things that may be not beneficial in a public sense. So, the role of the public sector is, particularly in things like education and healthcare, is in fact to deliver the best public product that they can. I'd like to add one other thing, which is pretty interesting. The more recent voucher programs in the United States those in Louisiana and Ohio, and now I see in the latest DC voucher program, at least in the first year, that actually the kids are worse off academically than if they'd stayed in public schools. And this is true on average in Ohio, which has the largest single voucher program in the United States. There are more than 30,000 kids now in Ohio. It's a small percentage of all the kids in Ohio, but they have negative results in the private schools compared with like kids in public schools. And the same is true in Louisiana. One explanation that was given by the way, a voucher advocate who teaches at Harvard, Professor West, is that the reason that this is happening now is that public schools have gotten better. And he's right. Public schools have gotten better. The results show that public schools have greatly improved in terms of, at least in terms of test scores, have greatly improved over the last 20 years. And speaking to John's point, it's pretty interesting that this narrative of how terrible public schools are goes on in the face of increasing achievement in the United States, steadily going up. Between 2013 and 15, there was a momentary drop, but I think the overall trend is going to continue. And so it's interesting that the voucher initiative now comes at a time when, in fact, public education is better than it has been in the past 20 years. It's as Henry Levin said in a very good article written some years ago, this is mostly an ideological issue.